Washington Commanders preseason football starts tomorrow night. While there are games on Thursday night, Washington will be at Gillette Stadium to play against the team that we did joint practice with yesterday. Drake Maye, we may see some of. I'm sure my guy Kobe from Patriots Global will let us know. We will not be seeing any Jaden Daniels, but we still got a game to preview. So let's get into it. Welcoming in today's guest, my guy Kobe from Patriots Global. How are you doing today, my dog?
I'm great, man. Rio, it's always a good time when we're able to chop it up a little bit. I know our teams don't usually play each other in the regular season, but it kind of feels like an annual thing that we play each other pretty much every single year in the preseason. I know this time last year, we were chopping it up, talking about two rookie quarterbacks. So it's always a damn pleasure being able to talk about football with you.
Phenomenal vibes, man. Both of us got our young quarterbacks of the future last year. Two guys that are forever going to be tied together and juxtaposed throughout their career. You were at the joint practice yesterday, right?
Yeah, man, it was absolutely insane. Let me tell you, I have not seen a Patriots training camp like that in a very, very long time. I go every single year, and let me tell you, I have not seen a training camp practice like that. I'm so serious when I say this. Since Tom Brady was there, over 10,000 people were there. People were stacked. They opened up the Rams at Gillette Stadium. I mean, it was packed to the brim where people were getting turned away from practice because there just wasn't enough room for people to be there. It was like a safety hazard. So let me tell you, it wasn't just Patriots fans that showed out, though. There were so many Commanders fans there. I gained a new level of respect for Commanders fans, truly.
Hey, man, we're back out in droves, man. This fan base has been a starving beast for quite some time, and we're finally in sync from the top, the middle, to the bottom of the organization. So it's a phenomenal time to be a Commanders fan. I see John Bon Jovi and Jason Tatum walking the practice fields and talking to our quarterbacks during practice, but football was actually played out there yesterday. But before we get into the joint practice, last year, 4-13 of record. You started with the Jacoby Brissett thing. I know how that goes. I've seen how that plays out before getting Drake Maye on the field. How do you think he fared in his rookie tenure?
Yeah, look, he wasn't put in a good situation. I think that's something that a lot of people forget. Yes, he only technically won one game, but he only started somewhere between 6 to 8. And even one of the games he technically started, he only played for a quarter before going down with a concussion against the New York Jets late on into the season. Drake Maye had the worst offensive line according to every single metric, whether it's pass blocking, whether it's time to pressure, whether it's run blocking, the worst offensive line from the preseason all the way to week 18. And unfortunately, that was a trend for the Patriots, not just in 2024, Rio, but also in 2023. The Patriots statistically have had the worst offensive line over the last 2 years. Not only that, but their wide receiver core also did not fare. Rookies Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, they just simply did not work out and pretty much were just non-existent. The Patriots also had one of the worst wide receiver groups last year, ranking 28th in separation from their wide receivers.
That's a lot of worse, Kobe. That's a lot of worse.
He didn't have a lot to work with. He really, really didn't. And so it's like, what did he have to do? Who could he work with? So what did he do? He did it himself. In fact, Drake Maye, when he took over for the Patriots, he was one of the best mobile quarterbacks in creating off script in the entire National Football League. Now, yes, Drake Maye has that mobility, but he's not like Jaden Daniels. I mean, Jaden Daniels has that mobility like a damn Lamar Jackson, And again, yes, he has that mobility, but
make a move, though. Make a move,
not the name of his game. Exactly. He wants to pass first and then run the ball if he needs to. So the fact that he ran as much as he did just goes to show the Patriots didn't have the weapons nor the offensive line to build around him. Again, in terms of creating off script, he was one of the best quarterbacks statistically in the National Football League. I think it just comes down now to limiting those turnovers between putting the football on the ground, interceptions. He was averaging about 2 interceptions per game. I don't care what kind of defense we have. I don't care who the head coach is. I don't care what weapons you have. I don't care about the O-line. If you are turning the football over, even an average of 1 time per game, that is going to put this team in jeopardy. So for me, I think with Drake Maye, looking into 2025, it's just, can he limit those turnovers?
A big armed young quarterback who has no help around him. I can see why the arm arrogance will get you in a situation like that sometime.
Yeah.
You got to put a cape on and you got to save the team every Sunday afternoon. And a lot of things people don't realize when it comes to the development of young quarterbacks, the situation and ecosystem that drafted you matters just as much as the guy that you selected. The having to learn a new system in your second year, having to deal with a completely new roster. There are so many new players that y'all added here. But before we get to what y'all did in the 2025 offseason, were there any other bright spots other than Drake Maye to look forward to the future that, okay, these guys may be a part of this thing going forward?
Yeah, I think you saw a little bit, and this wasn't necessarily last year, but it was in flashes that we actually got to see him. It was more specifically in 2023, but he comes back in full capacity this year, and that star defensive tackle in Christian Barmore. So he was, according to PFF, one of the best pass rushing defensive tackles since the Patriots drafted him in 2021. Unfortunately, did go down with blood clots right before the start of last year's season. So we're officially getting him back. He's been a full go. He's been wrecking havoc in training camp. It looks like Christian Barmore is officially back. So defensively, that is definitely a guy to watch for. Obviously, you have Christian Gonzalez also on the defensive side of the football, just getting better and better and better as time goes on. Offensively, there really isn't anyone from last year necessarily outside of Drake Maye that I'm looking for heading into this season. I just think that you're looking for Ramondre Stevenson to bounce back. And that's the name of the game. The guys that you do have that are expected to be superstars for you, they didn't exactly perform last year. So you're expecting those guys to bounce back. More specifically on the offensive line, someone like Michael Onwenu, because he is at an all-pro level when he's playing at right guard. The Patriots put him from right guard to right tackle, transitioning multiple times last season. So I think him being put back in a position where he can succeed on the O-line will go a long way.
For sure. And yeah, like my guy said, Kobe has one of the best deliveries out there, man. This is made for television stuff right here. That's why I had to get my guy from Patriots Global on to talk Pats Commanders and to get a season outlook as well as a preseason preview, because how much are we really going to talk about a game being played tomorrow where we're not even sure? Are your starters playing tomorrow, Kobe?
Yeah, so according to Mike Vrabel, they will be playing a little bit. So I would expect a drive, maybe a couple drives, nothing too much. The Patriots have dealt with a lot of injury scares already, Rio, okay? So we don't want to be putting our guys out there playing too much in a preseason game. I think they'll ramp up more in preseason game week 2, but we will see a little bit. I expect to see a drive or two of Drake Maye. I wouldn't expect to see Christian Gonzalez out there, but then seeing a good amount of the rookies.
So you guys brought in a culture changer, a Patriots legend, and a guy who should have never lost his job in the first place. In Mike Vrabel, we're talking with this dude, SummerSlam style, is at the bottom of a fight at joint practices yesterday. How excited were you to bring Mike in there? How fired up is that getting the fan base?
Man, I cannot tell you just how big this has been. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't think it was gonna happen. Okay, like I am on my channel the end of the season. Like, yo, Jerod Mayo's not gonna get fired. Okay, even though he probably should. Jerod Mayo's not getting fired. There's no way they're firing a guy after 1 year who was given the worst roster in football. Then immediately after our Buffalo Bills game in week 18, we hear, yeah, that guy's out. He's fired. Yeah, and the funny thing, too, is that Mike Vrabel, even before that game, was being tied back to the New England Patriots. And supposedly, he had an interview set up with the New York Jets. I think that was just leverage. In fact, that's what we heard afterwards, that he used that supposed interview with the New York Jets as leverage to get the job with the New England Patriots. So didn't take long for him to come to New England. The writing was on the wall, and it has been everything that it was said to be. He comes in here, he sets the culture. Everything that he said he's going to do is exactly what he's done. And that might seem something that's really little, but from the outside looking in, the Patriots had a head coach last year who would say something on Fridays, and then Mondays after the game, it was called Walk Back Mondays. He would come back on Mondays and completely take back what he said. So you never knew what you could believe with the head coach. But what Mike Vrabel is saying, everything he says, you know that it's serious because he backs it up and he actually takes action with what he's saying. And you see him pushing Drake Maye too. You see Mike Vrabel pushing Drake Maye to be this leader and forcing this team to be what the potential is. And what I love about Mike Vrabel too is that he's not just one style of coaching. I truly believe that he is going to come here into New England and install a culture that is the Bill Belichick style from back in the day, but can also marry this modern day style of coaching that I think the collegiate players are responding a little bit better to. I believe that he is the perfect version, the perfect mash between Bill Belichick and Gerard Mayo, a guy who can be chill, connect with the players, have fun, but can also be strict, can be a hard-nosed football coach when need be. And he even said himself when he was hired that he understands that certain players are going to respond different ways. Some guys are going to need that hard style of coaching, get on their ass, military drill type style of coach. But some guys, they just need you to put your arm around them. Tell them it's going to be okay, be patient, and just be their friend. And
a balance to it.
Exactly. Yep. Understanding that, I think, is going to go a long way in connecting with the players.
Hell yeah. And I think Dan Quinn has a lot of those qualities, and I've seen it so much over the last couple of years. It's funny that you said y'all had walk down Mondays with Gerard Mayo. We have the opposite here. We have what's called Tell the Truth Mondays every day following a game. And Dan Quinn goes to the podium and just faces whatever the media has for him. If it was a disappointing loss, whatever it is, he just comes through, and it's a very open forum for the media to just spill off anything they would like, and he honestly answers questions. It's so different from when Ron Rivera was here, and he gave it his best, but you can tell the difference between a guy that really should be there and a guy that was selected. Like the selection process didn't make sense. But with Gerard Mayo, I don't really feel like he had much of a chance, but he kind of was like y'all's rebound. He was y'all's gap year coach, because y'all have to fill two of the biggest shoes that we've ever seen, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. So every person that eventually comes in as your head coach and your quarterback, you got to be made and cut from something different, because y'all were a 2-decade dynasty in the 2000s. So
don't remind me, Rio, man. I'm still trying to recover, man. I'm still trying to recover. I have trouble sleeping every night because of it.
Listen, y'all will be fine, bro. I want to know what a 1-year dynasty feels like. Y'all,
you almost did it in 1 year. Like, are you kidding me? The Commanders in year one almost went to the Super Bowl, man. Let me tell you, like, this is off subject, but I am freaking rooting for you guys, man. I mean, that is amazing. Are you kidding me?
Oh my God!
And by the way, I live near Philly, unfortunately. You know, until we get the broadcasting degree, and then we can move to Boston. But let me tell you, I don't like Philly. I hate the Eagles, so I'm rooting for you guys heavy this year.
Hey, this is family right here. You see this? This is family out of conference. So these are not enemies. These are not ops. One day we need the Drake Maye versus Jaden Daniels Super Bowl. The world needs it. Man. Hey, the broadcasting degree, you're going to get that. They should ship that to you right away. This guy sounds ready for television.
In December, man. In December, we get it.
Let's go. Let's go. I love to hear that, man. That's not – you blinking, it's going to be there. But Mike Vrabel was definitely the guy you guys needed for culture-related purposes, and he knows exactly what winning's like. He even has his own cachet. He was taking the Titans to the playoff on a regular basis. He took that franchise from a place of irrelevancy, and they were contending with Ryan Tannehill on an annual basis. So I'm excited to see what Mike Vrabel gets done with the New England Patriots over there. You guys had a really busy offseason. Y'all were spending some money this offseason, man.
Added to burn, man, finally, for the first time.
Y'all were spending some money. Y'all go out and get Stephon Diggs. Y'all got a whole list of players in 2025. Y'all went and got Milton Williams. Thank you for taking one of our enemy's best players away from them. How did you feel about Harold Landry reunites with Vrabel in New England? How did you feel about y'all spending spree?
Yeah, I think we needed it, right? Because I think what some people forget is that you have to spend a certain amount of money every single year. Like, you can't just keep not spending and not spending and not spending. There is actually
punish you for it.
Exactly. There is a league minimum that you are mandated to spend every single year. And the Patriots were so behind on that they really had to go out there and spend. But they had so much money that they were first in the league in cap space this offseason. Second place was the Raiders. And the gap between the Patriots and the Raiders was about $20 to $30 million in cap space. That is just how much the Patriots had. Over $100 million. It was absolutely insane. So they had money to spend, but in free agency, it's tough to get those stars, right? They rarely ever hit the open market. And when they do, they're usually on the defensive side of the football. They are rarely ever on the offensive side of the football. So that's why you see the majority of defensive names here. And that's why I feel like this Patriots defense is going to be top 10 easily, with the ability and the potential, if they stay healthy, to be top 5, because they added some absolute dogs. I mean, you look at it from the defense side of the football, Milton Williams, the question with him is going to be, can he work in a much larger workload? Only working about 50% of the time of defensive snaps for Philadelphia. He's going to be asked to play 80% of the Patriots defensive snaps, but he was actually PFF's second highest graded interior defensive lineman in terms of pass rush. Again, pairing that with Christian Barmore, who has been top 10 into pass rush among interior defensive linemen according to PFF, that is going to be the Patriots' bread and butter of the pass rush. And Rio, as I'm sure you know, it is one thing to have good edge rushers, but even then, when you have good edge rushers that can collapse the pocket from the outside, the quarterback's just going to step up into the pocket and deliver a throw. When you have interior defensive linemen, especially multiple of them, that can collapse the pocket from the interior, there is nowhere that the quarterback can go, right? It's either he's getting sacked, he's throwing off his back foot and throwing an interception, or he's just barely having enough time to throw the ball out of bounds. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to from the Patriots. Harold Landry has experience with Mike Vrabel, with that system, with Terrell Williams, the Patriots' new defensive coordinator. So, you know, I'm not expecting much from Harold Landry. He's older at this point, but he's more of that cleanup guy, right? He's not going to be that number one guy on the defensive line, but what he's going to be is the cleanup crew. I think he's going to have a high year in sacks just based off of the other guys that are on that defensive line. You bring in Robert Spillane. Juwan Bentley is officially out. You have a new Mike linebacker, but again, this is somebody with experience. Almost every single free agent they brought in, Rio, they have some type of experience with, whether it's with Josh McDaniels, Mike Vrabel, or defensive coordinator in Terrell Williams. And Robert Spillane, I think, is going to come in here and he's immediately going to be a top 10 linebacker, top 15 linebacker in the league, just because of that potential we saw with the Raiders, but also mixed in with, again, that familiarity. So offensively, you see this list, not too much. You're bringing Morgan Moses, the
My
Patriots,
guy, former Redskin.
yes, sir. Morgan, he talks about the Commanders all the time, by the way. Yep. References you guys, his career there all the time. So I'm sure it was a little bit of a homecoming kind of having that joint practice. But look, 34 years old. They signed him to a 3-year deal. He'll be 37. 37, damn it, when that contract is up. But the Patriots needed help at tackle, because they had one of the worst graded tackles in football last year with Demontre Jacobs, a former defensive tackle turned tackle for this team, started for them at right tackle last year, man. He had like a 40 overall PFF grade. You know, that's how bad it was. 9 sacks and like a 40 overall PFF grade. So although Morgan Moses maybe isn't great, he's not elite, he's at least good. He's at least average. So he'll be a massive upgrade.
He's very dependable.
He's at least an upgrade over what the Patriots had last year. So, and then he gets to, Stephon Diggs, right? And Stephon Diggs, before that ACL injury last year, he was on pace for over 100 catches and just over 1,000 total yards. So the question's going to be, how does he come back? So far, he's looked absolutely dominant. Rio, he tore his ACL at the end of October. This guy came into training camp as a full participant. He's been 100% ready to go. And that's been because of just how serious he has taken his rehabilitation process this offseason. So Stephon Diggs might not be the deep threat he used to be in Buffalo, putting up 1,400 yards, but what he will be is a guy who's good short to intermediate. He's mainly going to play in the slot, but has that versatility to play outside. He's already building that chemistry with Drake Maye. I think he's going to have a lot of production, maybe not 1,000 yards, but maybe like 900 yards, 100 to 115 catches.
Yep, I can still see 1,000, man. He's a DMV native, man. That's a DC guy right there. Stephon Diggs, someone I've always championed in this league. I like Drake Maye having a dependable option out there because, like you said, the receivers you drafted, the 2 receivers, Polk and Baker from last year, they didn't show what y'all needed them to, even though it was just year 1. Kendrick Bourne is still out there, but y'all needed a solidified guy for your young quarterback. You can't have your young quarterback throwing it to a bunch of nobodies. Trust me. Other than Terry last year, Jaden was doing just that. That's not a world you really want to live in, but Mo is going to be dependable for y'all. Thank you for taking Milton Williams off the hands of Milton Williams and Christian Barmore. That's going to be a duo up front for y'all.
Yeah, it is, dude.
Y'all are going to get after it with those guys. And we took a couple Patriots off of y'all this season. Dietrich Wise is going to start at the edge for us. And Jonathan Jones, who's started for a while for you guys, he's going to be more of a depth piece here now that we drafted Trey Amos, have Mikey Sanders still on the inside, and get a healthy Marshawn Lattimore. Tell me about Dietrich Wise and Jonathan Jones' tenure in New England.
Yeah, Dietrich Wise joined, I want to say it was about 2017. So he has experience in that Super Bowl era, a lot of experience with the playoffs, regular season. He has experience with winning. He was here when Belichick was here. Damn it, he was here when Tom Brady was here. So he knows how to set a culture. And, Dietrich Wise, it was one of those situations where it hurt to see him go from a fan favorite perspective, but defensively, you understood it. In fact, I remember being in training camp last year, and I asked him because he came around during autographs, and I talked to him for a few minutes, and I was like, hey, so are you next with the big contract extensions? And he was like, I don't know, man. We'll see. And just based off his voice, I was like, yeah, he's not coming back. Yeah. But this is a guy who has the experience, who's going to play on special teams, really, really good length. Like, I'm sure you Commanders fans have seen pictures of him, videos of him at this point. This guy is tall, but this guy has damn length from his legs, from his arms. So in those kicking drills, being able to get his hands up, there'll be opportunities for him to bat some passes down at the line of scrimmage, which was an underrated part of his game. But more specifically on special teams, being able to bat some kicks down there at the line, I think will be absolutely huge for him.
How's he versus the run?
He's not bad. He's not bad. He's not necessarily great, but I would say he's good overall, right? He's better as a pass rusher. He's not elite at everything, but he's not necessarily bad at everything. The great thing with Dietrich Wise is that he's going to be a chess piece, right? He's not going to be just rushing off the edge, but he rushed a lot from the interior of the D-line too. So he's going to play all over that defensive line for you, giving depth from the edge, giving depth from the interior. Sometimes we even saw him drop back into coverage a little bit. So again, is he going to be your number one pass rusher? No. If Dietrich Wise is one of your starting pass rushers, you're in a bit of a bad situation. But he's a very good rotational guy who has a high motor, and that length is going to create issues for some defensive tackles. He's definitely going to put up a few sacks for you this season at minimum. And then as for Jonathan Jones, he's getting older. He took a step back. The Patriots over the last few years have had him playing a lot at outside cornerback. He's 5'10", so that's not ideally what you want. Back in the day when they had him playing at slot cornerback, he was one of the best slot cornerbacks in the league. He was always known as one of those really fast, jittery cornerbacks. I think because that age maybe took a step back a little bit, but still has that ability on special teams. He's obviously a veteran. Because of that versatility in the secondary, I still think that he can play at a high enough level for you guys as that rotational piece. But I think at this point in his career, having him playing slot cornerback, a little bit of safety is where you're going to get the most out of Jonathan Jones.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to see what Wise can do. Our fan base, we were clamoring for edge rushers all offseason, and we didn't end up drafting one. Dietrich Wise was added to the room. We ended up signing Von Miller a couple weeks ago, right before training camp, and we like versatile pieces that can move inside and outside with Kinlaw, Johnny Newton, and Dietrich Wise. So that's very interesting, and they both have that captain status. Dan Quinn and Adam Peters love that. That is the culture that they seek here. But moving on to you guys' draft class in 2025, you got a couple guys that our fan base loved during the draft process, especially your second round pick. But let's start at number one, a guy that protected my quarterback in college, Will Campbell, a guy who said he'll die for his quarterback. He'll put his life on the line for him. How has camp been, and has the alligator arm situation thing seemed like it's going to be a concern in the league?
Yeah, there's obviously only so much you can take away from these practices, more specifically when the pads go on in the very few padded practices that actually happen. That's when you can take a little bit more away from the trenches, O-line and D-line. But other than that, when the pads aren't on, there's only so much you can really do.
I know.
But based off of what we've seen from Will Campbell, there's some inconsistencies, right? There's some inconsistencies more specifically in pass protection, which we knew was going to happen, right? Those were the same things that happened at the collegiate level. I would say that the name of the game for Will Campbell is that he's been everything that was advertised as that first round pick. He has been absolutely dominant in the run game, opening up big holes there for second round pick in Travion Henderson, more specifically for him bouncing there to the outside. And I think that speed of Will Campbell, you don't see that a lot. He's not a big offensive lineman, but because of that, he's a lot more athletic. He can get down the field quickly. And because of that, I think that's going to go a long way for Travion Henderson, Ramondre Stevenson, and Antonio Gibson, breaking off some big runs. I think with Will Campbell, he's just developing right now, more specifically in pass protection. And he even said himself, he said, what won for me at the collegiate level isn't going to win for me in the NFL. He said, these are two completely different leagues. And right now, I'm just trying to figure out what works for me and what doesn't. But he has such a high football IQ that when he makes a mistake, he doesn't continue to make those mistakes, right? It's in his brain, and he says, okay, this is what can happen. This is what I can do. This is what I now cannot do. And he stalls that away, and he improves based off of it. But I think the leadership, I think dying on the hill for his team, I think that's what has connected him so much to Patriots fans, and just the drive he has to get better is something you absolutely cannot teach. And you even saw that in yesterday's joint practice. I mean, when Mike Vrabel's down on the ground, you have Will Campbell coming in, backing up his head coach, backing up his rookie running back, and starting to swing. I mean, that is a guy that will die on the damn hill for his team. But look, literally, nonetheless, he's a massive upgrade immediately over what the Patriots have had in years.
Plug and play day one starter, correct?
Oh, 100%.
Thought so. Travion Henderson. This was the running back. I was willing to take him at 29. That's how much I liked Travion Henderson. Best pass blocker. He can do everything. He can catch it. He can run in between the tackles. He's fast. He's shifty. Great guy. And apparently he can fight. He's mixing them up and throwing punches at Von Miller and Mike Vrabel on accident at practice yesterday. What have you seen out of Travion? And do you see him at some point being the lead back there?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit surprised. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't think they were going to take a running back that high. I was like, all right, if we want to take a running back in like round 3, okay. But last offseason, you signed Antonio Gibson to a multi-year deal. You extended Ramondre Stevenson to a multi-year deal. So depth under Josh McDaniels, who likes to go running back by committee and not bell cow running back, always keeps 3, 4, sometimes even 5 running backs on the active roster. I was like, we're going to draft one. But I don't think we need to draft one that high based off our needs. What happens? Travion Henderson's right there. The Patriots draft him. And I'm like, you know what? I like it. I'm all for it because it was really good value. Henderson was a guy that was getting first round hype, going into the draft. Falls right into the Patriots' lap. And immediately, one of the best running backs coming out of the draft, Patriots have an opportunity to pair him up with Drake Maye and take some of that pressure off of him. With Travion Henderson, he's going to be a guy that was one of the fastest running backs in this class. I mean, his 4.25, 4.28 was his top speed at the collegiate level last year. That would have ranked 3rd in the NFL in all of 2024. So you see that speed, and that's something that the Patriots don't have. He has that home run ability to break it off for a 50, 60, 70-yard touchdown. And again, it just comes back to taking that pressure off of Drake Maye. But what's great about Travion Henderson is that he's not just a good runner, but he's good in all 3 phases. He was considered the best pass protecting running back in all of the NFL draft this past year. And that's something that the Patriots struggle with. With a team that has a rough offensive line, having tight ends that can block, having running backs that can block will be absolutely huge. And then also his ability in the receiving game. He's going to be utilized as, so for those who know the Patriots back in the day, as like a James White. In fact, they told him, watch James White film. So that's exactly what Travion Henderson's been doing. And given Josh McDaniels his back, that's exactly how I am expecting him to be utilized. But like you alluded to, yesterday gets a little mix up there with Von Miller. Von Miller's roughing off the edge. They have Travion Henderson staying back, blocking. Travion Henderson takes him to the ground, and we're like, whoa, this is not a tackling practice. He's now on the ground. They're fighting, man. I saw this in real time. Mike Vrabel is like right in front of them watching it, because Mike Vrabel does this thing where he likes to play a little bit in the defense, to put on like a penny tee, and he'll drop back into coverage, and
I can see
he'll be playing defense a little bit, which Patriots fans have loved. But he's right there watching this happen, sees Travion Henderson take him to the ground. Mike Vrabel immediately goes to his knees and goes and tackles to the ground to try and break up the fight. Then you got Will Campbell rushing in to try to help Travion Henderson, and Mike Vrabel takes a friendly fire at Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel gets up. He's bleeding on his cheek, man. It was a damn sight to see. But yeah, Travion Henderson, he's definitely going to have a role, and his speed has been standing out this offseason.
Hey, that's the type of stuff that gets fans fired up. And that's just not anybody for Travion to be going at. That's a future first ballot gold jacket player in Von Miller. I respect the balls.
You see the dog. And the other thing, too, is you asked me, you're like, well, do you think that he'll be an every down back? And me personally, no, I don't think that's going to happen. Again, given Josh McDaniels' offense, it's hard to have that lead back, but I do still think that lead back is going to be Ramondre. With Travion Henderson, he's dealt with injury scares at Ohio State. Right? When Quinshon Judkins came in, that's when the injury scares started to go away. That's when Travion Henderson actually looked like a much better running back, because he was more polished. He was more fresh throughout the game. So I think he's going to just be a part of that running back by committee, but I never think that he's going to be the bell cow. He's never going to be like the Ramondre Stevenson of the offense.
Makes a lot of sense. And this next one, this was a name I was looking forward to hearing yesterday because I had so many people in my chat and my comments throughout draft season. Kyle Williams, that speak the Kyle Williams gospel. I know it didn't look pretty from Baker and Polk last year. Is the start looking better for Kyle Williams? Because he looks like a guy that can get out there and potentially start for you guys.
Yeah, so I actually got to see him during the Senior Bowl. He was, well, fortunately, one of the guys I didn't get to get an interview with, but back in January, got to see him there, and he was looking really good there. And so when the Patriots drafted him, I was absolutely ecstatic. I mean, Kyle Williams, at the collegiate level this past year, he was top 3 in yards against man coverage, and he was also top 3 in touchdowns. I believe he was actually first in touchdowns against man coverage. So this is the guy that, if you want any potential in stopping him, you're going to have to play zone coverage or you're going to have to double him. He has that speed on the outside, but he's also a really good route runner. He's that technician. And I think learning behind Stephon Diggs, who's actually one of the guys who he said he emulates his game after, I think is going to be huge for him. Kyle Williams has made a lot of plays so far. He was actually a few weeks ago at the throwing session that Drake Maye held this offseason in North Carolina. So I think that was big for him too. You just kind of see that high football IQ, learning with the veterans. There's a video that Kendrick Bourne dropped, and you kind of see these guys behind the scenes and seeing Kyle Williams go through the routes and the potential that could happen with defenders, and just talking to these veterans and Kendrick Bourne and Stephon Diggs and Matt Collins, and just figuring out what they've seen that he can utilize for himself. He's been inconsistent. That's what I'll say. He's been inconsistent. He goes out there, he's making a 50-yard touchdown, multiple touchdowns on the day, and then the next 2 days he's silent. So for him, it's just the inconsistencies, but he's obviously a lock to make this roster. I think we're going to see end arounds in Josh McDaniels' offense because of that speed. Right now, he's poised to play the X, but I think we'll see him everywhere on the offensive formation. He's going to have a big role moving forward. It's just up to him how much he actually plays based off of how consistent he's going to be.
Okay, I like to hear that, man. I liked Kyle Williams in the draft process as well. Has Braden Swinson shown anything in camp so far? Because when we got to a certain part of the draft, we were so desperate as a fan base to see an edge come off the board. We were, oh my God, just give me Braden Swinson. At this point, has he showed anything so far? And how are y'all utilizing him?
Yeah, so far when it comes to Braden Swinson, I mean, he started off training camp really, really hot. I mean, he had back-to-back days with sacks, so he's definitely getting to the quarterback a little bit. He, again, had a few sacks early on. Other than that, he's been pretty quiet. We haven't heard his name in a while, but there was times he was running with the first-team defense, which I'm sure, as you know, is always a good sign for him. Given the fact that he was a draft pick, I do think he does ultimately make this roster. I don't see a world in which he gets cut. At this point, again, he's a part of the trenches, so you can only take so much away in practices, joint practices, padded practices. What's going to be our first real look for him is going to be in the preseason. What does he look like throughout 3 preseason games? I think that's going to determine how big of a role he's going to have as a rookie here in 2025. But this is a guy that the Patriots got really, really good value for. I mean, you look at it, whether it was Bleacher Report, whether it was PFF, no matter where you look, they had this guy projected as a top 50 prospect, and the Patriots got him in the 5th round. So nonetheless, you can never go wrong with a selection like that. And I mean, just a high motor guy. He's had some good reps there against Will Campbell, kind of also helping both of those guys. Will Campbell helping his former teammate, Braden Swinson also helping his former teammate. So he's definitely going to be a guy that's part of the rotation. But what does he do in these 3 preseason games will determine just how much of a role he has.
Y'all drafted a kicker. I was actually interested in us drafting before we ended up giving Matt Gay one of the biggest guarantees. I think the biggest guarantee a kicker's ever got at signing. Y'all got a kicker competition between Borgales and who's the guy competing with him?
John Parker Romo.
John Parker. That does not even sound
no
like
one knows who that is.
That does not sound like that is not a real person, bro.
Yeah, it's not.
How's that going?
AI. Well, look, if you look back at spring practices, I would have told you that Andy Borgales is 100% the week 1 kicker. No doubt. There's no damn competition. And why in God's name is John Parker Romo here? Then you get to training camp and things have gotten a little bit more interesting. Now, look, not John Parker Romo, but Andy Borgales was the first kicker taken in the draft. The Patriots actually used a draft pick on him, which, look, it was a 6th-round pick. According to some Patriots fans, it was a little controversial. I'm not really sure why it's a 6th-round pick and you didn't have a kicker. So I don't know why it's controversial. You took arguably the best one in the draft.
Trust me, you don't want to know what life is like without a kicker. We had 7 last year.
And you know what? We had rough issues with kickers over the last few years. We've drafted one almost every single year, and it just hasn't panned out. But you look at training camp, and John Parker Romo has been pretty much perfect. And Andy Borregales has missed a couple of kicks. So, Rio, I always say football is what have you done for me lately, not what have you done at one point. So, yes, Andy Borregales might have done well and easily beat out John Parker-Romo in spring practices. But right now, John Parker-Romo is beating out Andy Borregales, and the team is going to care more about what you have done recently, not what did you do a few months ago. So I do think this is still a kicker competition, but if I had to put my money on it, I would say that the rookie Andy Borregales does make the final roster with John Parker-Romo going back on the practice squad.
Love to hear it, man. Kicking competitions are not. I don't even like to talk about specialists, man. I'm very low on punters, kickers. I don't even like to talk about it, but it is a big deal when you don't have one. We went through 4 before the season started and 3 through the season, including like our final kicker making a game-winning kick for us in the wild card round of the playoffs. So I promise you have enough as a year 2 team and a year 1 regime to have to worry about kickers on Sunday afternoons and Sunday night. But what stands out about the New England Patriots schedule in 2025?
I think what stands out to me is that they have an opportunity to do what Mike Vrabel said. The first thing that Mike Vrabel said in his introductory press conference was going to be, look, phase 1, what we're looking to do is just take advantage of bad football teams, because that's what the Patriots had the opportunity to do several times over the last 2 seasons. By the way, the Patriots had back-to-back 4-win seasons, so that's how bad it's been. They've had the advantage to take advantage of bad football teams, and they haven't done so. And I think with Mike Vrabel, he looked at this team and he says, look, when you've had back-to-back 4-win seasons, there's going to be a lot that needs to go into building this team back up. So we start with taking advantage, again, of those bad football teams. So the Patriots have an easier schedule. Last year, it was the second hardest schedule in the NFL. The year before that, in 2023, it was the hardest schedule in the NFL, according to NFL Strength of the Schedule. This year, it's not the easiest, but it's like middle of the pack. It's a lot easier than it's been in recent years. You know, you play the Jets twice, you play the Dolphins twice, you got the Giants on the schedule, you got the Saints on the schedule too. So the Patriots have the opportunity to do exactly what Vrabel said and just take advantage of bad football teams. But they'll also play some good football teams that will test them at times, and we'll really be able to get to see what this team is made about, right? Like, you play the Bills twice, you play the Ravens, you play the Buccaneers. So there'll be opportunities to see what this team is made of, but I think there'll also be enough games where the Patriots should win to be able to just build a little bit of momentum.
I don't mind that, man. So before we get into this joint practice of this preseason game, what is your outlook going into this season? What would define a successful year 2 for Drake Maye in an inaugural season as Mike Vrabel taking over for the Patriots?
Some fans, based off of what we've done, might say playoffs. It's not that for me, okay? Can we at least double the amount of wins? At least double the amount of wins that we've had over the last 2 seasons. Meaning, can we get to at least 8? I think that's very, very favorable, because there is some beat reporters in New England that went game by game when the schedule dropped and said, well, if everything goes to plan, they should win this game, this game, this game, not win that game, win this game. And they got to like 13 wins. So there's a lot of people that are hyping the Patriots up. A lot of people saying that they should be a wild card team in the playoffs. And I mean, maybe they can make the playoffs. I'm not telling you that they won't, but that's not my sight. Can the Patriots at least get to 8 wins? Can they go down to the wire and at least be in the conversation at potentially making the playoffs? Can they not be mathematically eliminated, halfway through the season? That's all I'm asking. And can we see that Drake Maye took that step forward? Can we see that he limited the turnovers? Can we see, leaving 2025, that Drake Maye is confidently our franchise quarterback? If those 2 things happen, then I think that that's a successful season.
You sound just like I do going into last season. I was like, look,
none of that.
Let's double 4 wins to 8, 7 or 8 wins. But as long as we know the coaching regime we hired made sense and the quarterback is the guy going forward, I'm good. That changed so fast once I seen us go up to Cincinnati on Monday Night Football in week 3. After that, I was like, okay, this team can compete with everybody. And then it was a loss versus the Ravens. And I was like, okay, we lost, but oh my God, we're going to compete with every team on the schedule. Okay, we're cooking with something this year. And then it just kept happening. It kept happening. We hit adversity, went on a 3-game losing streak after our first 7-2 start in 30 years. And then we don't lose again until the NFC Championship. So you never know. If y'all can, if your quarterback, if you hit on the quarterback and the pieces start piecing around him, especially with a good coach like Mike Vrabel, It could turn around very, very fast.
Yeah, I agree.
Hell yeah. But main observations from joint practice yesterday can be general. It could be general and broad throughout the whole thing. What you saw from Jaden and Drake Maye. Just give me your biggest things that stood out at joint practice yesterday.
Yeah, I would say, look, Commanders fans, don't come on my neck here, okay? Unbiasedly, I do think that the Patriots did win the day. Now, look, it's one day of joint practice. I wish it was multiple days. Mike Vrabel actually said, they were like, so why isn't it multiple days? Why is it just one? He was like, because the Commanders only wanted to come up for one day. And he was like, oh, okay. But I think just based off the one day, the Patriots were the better overall team offensively and defensively. Again, it's just one practice. So, what would that have looked like if it was 2 or 3 days? But based off the numbers that we got, Drake Maye went 18 for 27. That was a 67% completion percentage and 3 touchdowns. Jaden Daniels went 15 for 24, so a 63% completion percentage and 0 touchdowns.
So is this solely on like 11 on 11 reps?
So this was 11 on 11, 7 on 7s. They worked a lot in the red zone. That's what the Patriots and the Commanders did a lot yesterday. There was even a point where they worked in red zone, they stopped, went to special teams, and then they each team's had the opportunity to work in the red zone one more time. It was like situational football, 45 seconds on the clock, 4th down, like gotta have it moment. And both teams had the opportunity to come out and show out there a little bit. But even defensively, I think the Patriots were a little bit better. More specifically, that defensive line, you had projected Milton Williams with the sack, Christian Barmore with the sack, nose tackle Kyrie's Tonga with the sack. So I think for me, from the outside looking in, I don't know what the situation's like from the interior of the O-line for you guys there in Washington, but the Patriots interior of the D-line, multiple guys were eating up. So maybe a little bit of a concern there for you guys.
These aren't the guys who are going to be there in the regular season. So Brandon Coleman's out right now, and Cosme is probably going to be on PUP to start the season. The center is the center. Tyler Biotis is going to be there, but the 2 guards, those are seat fillers for right now.
Gotcha. Okay, so look, maybe the backups. Maybe be a little concerned at the backups. Maybe Washington fans are going to look at that waiver wire, going to look at some of those roster cuts in a couple of weeks on that O-line. But it sounds like maybe don't panic just yet because you got some guys that are going to come back on the interior of the O-line. But look, I think from the Patriots standpoint, I think you guys had some issues covering DeMario Douglas. He's kind of
was cooking. He was frying Sanders still.
Guy. But even Matt Collins, that big outside X receiver, works well through contested catches. He had a few touchdowns, making a few big plays on you guys. So you also had Kayshon Boutte with a really good touchdown against Marshawn Lattimore. I'm gonna be honest, I was expecting Marshawn Lattimore to cook a little bit more in practice. He didn't do as well as I was expecting him to do. Again, maybe he was only kind of half-assing practice because it's just a joint practice. Doesn't want to.
That play was Drake Maye, though. You can't really defend a back shoulder ball that's that perfect.
I don't know. I thought Marshawn. I saw the play. I thought Marshawn Lattimore could have been on the play a little bit more, but overall, I thought the Patriots just had a little bit of a better day compared to the Commanders. That's just a few of my takeaways. I thought Alex Austin, the Patriots backup cornerback, was absolutely cooking too. I thought that you guys need to get Terry McLaurin signed. That's what I realized. I said, damn, your guys' wide receivers without Terry McLaurin are not going to be good enough for Jaden Daniels. Like, you guys either need to go out there and make an addition before the start of the season, which, by the way, former Patriots friend KJ Osborne didn't do anything yesterday. And without Terry McLaurin, you're asking your wide receivers to play a step above realistically where they should be. And now the offense is coming down a notch, and you're asking Jaden Daniels to put on that cape a little bit. So honestly, biggest takeaway was, damn, you guys got to get Terry locked up long term.
Debo is pretty much all we got out there, right? Debo and our young boy Lane that we just took in the 4th round this year. We definitely need Terry, but we don't have Terry or Noah Brown right now, so it's just Debo and a crew of unknown misfits at the current juncture. But it's crazy that even without all that, from everything we've been told, Jaden was still sharp yesterday. What was your assessment of Jaden Daniels in a little bit? We said, did y'all's offense do more like live reps than our, because I felt like we were not getting enough offensive updates from Washington, but it felt like Drake Maye and them were offense the whole practice.
We got a little bit. It wasn't drastically different, but we definitely did get a few extra reps. What I will say too is that a lot of the Jaden Daniels passes, it was either deflected or he's throwing the ball out of bounds. Jaden Daniels was just safe with the ball. That's what I would say. Like, the Patriots defense was locking down. He was pressured a lot also. Like, Jaden Daniels was bouncing around that pocket on almost every single play. So I think that's probably why you weren't hearing as much about the offense too, is just more specifically not much was happening. Daniels was just being safe with the ball. But I would say it was just impressive. Like, that was my assessment on Jaden Daniels is, look, was he capitalizing in the red zone a lot? No. But again, with how bad that O-line was performing for you guys, the Patriots D-line was just eating. Him being safe, bouncing around the pocket, and just doing the smart thing by not turning the ball over, I thought that was impressive.
Okay, so how much Drake Maye can we expect to see tomorrow? Because I don't believe we're playing many starters, if any at all. But I want our defense to get a little bump versus you guys at start. How much Drake Maye can we expect? A quarter?
I would be surprised if we saw a full quarter. Now, if we do, I'd be perfectly fine with that because I want to see what can he do out there and start building this chemistry a little bit more against a defense that is not his own. But I would expect a couple of drives maximum. I think preseason game 2 is usually where you see the starters a little bit more. But it does sound like, based off of the interviews I heard from Dan Quinn and Mike Vrabel, we'll see more of the Patriots starters than we will the Commander starters.
Okay. I don't need to see Jaden in a game situation because Jaden, I don't even need to see Jaden until September.
No.
But
no,
like, I don't care who wins a preseason game, who wins a joint practice or any of that. But I do think that our offense at least looked better than people are giving it credit for. I've seen clips of Jaden throwing touchdowns at practice yesterday. I don't know why they're excluded from everybody, but I know Jaden looks the part, so I don't have nothing to worry about. We do.
Might have been like 1-on-1s or 7-on-7s. I think these statistics were more like 11-on-11s because that's like the majority of what they were doing in like red zone.
I'm just glad we're out of, like, it feels good over here. I don't count practice stats anymore. Like, I see what the Browns are doing every day with a full 4 quarterback chart, and you're sitting there counting daily stats. I'm so glad I don't have to live that life anymore. But
that's so stupid. Dude.
And I'm here to let Pats Nation know, y'all aren't getting Terry McLaurin. Y'all, please, guys, I'm here to tell y'all we're not trading that guy. We don't have it figured out just yet, but he's not going anywhere.
You can't, man. You can't. I mean, it's just so. Did Commanders fans take anything from it when the Commanders like posted a photo a couple of weeks ago of like what you guys did during the offseason and all the guys getting married, but they didn't include Terry McLaurin? Was that like a thing for Commanders fans?
It was a thing because our fans make everything a thing. But the thing was, they already featured his wedding alone earlier this offseason. Like right after he got married. Congratulations to the McLaurins. And they put pictures up and tagged them and all type of stuff like that.
Oh, that's what they don't tell you, man. So you think, what would you give the percentage on them trading Terry McLaurin?
0. I don't less than 0.
Yeah, because less than 0. Okay.
Even if we don't extend him, people forget he's under contract. He's still under contract. We don't have to extend it. We should extend him. He deserves to get extended. But they could say, you're not going to hold out for a season. You're not going to pull a Le'Veon Bell. So show up and we'll figure this out in 2026 and they can franchise tag him or something. We hope it doesn't go down that process because that gets messy. And Terry McLaurin just set the franchise record for touchdowns last year. Going into a age 30 season or not, he's done that. And Adam Peters is going to eventually have to come up with his offer a little bit, but they don't have to trade. They're not trading. I don't even think they're going to entertain a trade of Terry McLaurin.
You literally, I mean, that is a top player for you. Jaden Daniels going into year 2. You don't want that sophomore slump. You guys are 1 game away from the Super Bowl. You don't trade a top 3 player on your team. That's what I've said all the time. I said, look, if he becomes available, especially at these joint practices, I'm going to try to get a trade done, but I just don't see why you would trade him after all the assets you've put in over the last 2 years.
We had a title window open up after 1 year. We're not going to trade Terry McLaurin. So they're going to find a way. I'm expecting Terry, Hendrickson, and Parsons to be getting like right before September starts contract extensions because while they could call his bluff and make him play on his 1 year left of his deal for up to $23 million, let's just get it done.
Yeah. Don't make him pissed off. Come on.
Yeah, for sure, man. But nah, he's not going anywhere. But just to close this one out, we have a preseason game tomorrow night. What are you looking most forward to besides the fact that we both want our teams to come out unscathed and fully healthy? What players do you have circled that you're paying the most attention to on the Patriots side of things?
Yeah, wins and losses in the preseason definitely don't matter. It doesn't matter if you go undefeated. It doesn't matter if you lose every single game. And I remember in like 2017, the Patriots won like 1 preseason game. That's back when they had 4. and they went to the Super Bowl still. So it doesn't matter. Again, like you said, quite literally just stay healthy, especially these starters. Who I'm looking for is definitely the rookies. I want to see what Will Campbell looks like more consistently. I want to see what Jared Wilson, the rookie interior offensive lineman, looks like, because he has been absolutely spectacular at center and at guard. Probably the Patriots' best offensive lineman, period, straight off the bat. But I'm also looking for Kyle Williams. What can he do on the outside? Definitely looking for the year 2 wide receivers, Jalen Polk, Javon Baker. There's a real conversation where both of those guys don't make this final roster after using a 2nd and 4th round pick on them last year. Can they do something in the preseason to spark debate a little bit? And then I'm also looking for Efton Chisholm on the offensive side of the football. UDFA, small white slot receiver, man. He's watching
That's Patriots culture right there.
Exactly, real. That's what I'm telling you, man. I got to meet him 2 days ago, man. And I was like, dude, whose tape are you watching? He was like, man, I'm pumping that Danny Amendola film. And then Dola was there yesterday, and Jules was there the day before. So
Wes Welker's our assistant wide receiver coach. So the whole crew was in the building.
The whole crew was there for Efton Chisholm, man. The Patriots have found their new white small slot receiver, baby. So that's the guy I'm looking for. Defensively, I'm looking for Alex Austin. Can he prove that he can be a depth outside cornerback? And then also just looking at some of these more depth pieces on the defensive line. Can we have an actual pass rush this season, not just with the starters, but also with the backups? Because I think Philadelphia showed a beautiful blueprint on why you don't just want good starters on that D-line, but you want good starters, you want good depth, because when the opposing offensive line gets tired in the 4th quarter, you have guys that can rotate and tired out that O-line, and that's when you have the advantage.
Yeah, and a player that we haven't talked about much, who also fried in joint practice yesterday, Josh Dobbs. Y'all got one of the most experienced and better backups in the entire league. That's really good for Drake Maye, too.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, I think even too with like the even in the preseason, because you know I got to see Drake Maye too much, but having a quarterback like Josh Dobbs, who, like you said, like is he a starting quarterback? No, but he can go out there and win a few games for you if need be. He's been with multiple different organizations, whether it's the Vikings, the Niners, the Titans, right? And so having a guy like that in the preseason that can dominate and give these receivers an actual chance to showcase themselves, give this offense a chance to actually showcase itself, I think that's what I'm most excited for.
Thank you, man. And I appreciate you for coming on the channel, man. It's always a good time. Fingers crossed, one day we're going to get that JD5 versus Drake Maye Super Bowl so we can preview a Super Bowl matchup between our team. But if you never get it on your end, you'll be all right because you've been there before. I've not got to cross that as that pinnacle as a fan yet. But let folks know where they can find you and anything about Roundtable Sports, anything you got coming up.
Yeah, man. So I wear a lot of hats. I do a lot of different things, but the main thing I'm known for is covering the New England Patriots here over on YouTube. Over 21,000 subscribers. Would love if you guys could join. Yeah. Look, this is what I always say. Keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer, man. You always want to know what's going on with the opponents league-wise. So you can check me out on YouTube over at Patriots Global, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, also at Patriots Global, releasing NFL and Patriots-related content, live updates, all that good stuff. For Roundtable Sports, I also cover the New England Patriots side of things on the AFC East Roundtable, which is live Mondays and Wednesdays. I also host the NFC South and the AFC West Roundtables on Tuesday. And then, of course, Roundtable Sports, we do a lot. We were at the Super Bowl last year, giving you guys live coverage. We were at the Senior Bowl last year, giving you guys live coverage. So you can expect those same things to come down the pipeline.
Appreciate you as always, man. And I hope y'all get through this game unscathed and healthy tomorrow evening, man.
Hey, man, you too. Go Pats, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was our guest for the evening. Patriots Global, my guy, Kobe. Fantastic delivery as always. And it was a good show. It was very testy in the comments. I see the chat was getting lit. Guys, it was joint practice in a preseason game. All of that is not necessary, but I have some more content y'all waste coming up sometime soon. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Sub up to my guy, Kobe, as well over there at Patriots Global. I should have something, a Terry McLaurin update and an interview with Jeremy Fowler coming up either sometime this evening or tomorrow. So be on the watch out for that. Appreciate y'all for rocking with the guy.